My father always said that paranoia was an expensive cologne. Too much of it, and people start to notice the smell. But after 23 years as a detective in the Phoenix Police Department's Financial Crimes Unit, I'd learned that a healthy suspicion of human nature wasn't paranoia. It was survival. The Saturday morning battery check was a ritual my late wife Margaret started back in 1999. Every 6 months, like clockwork. Change the smoke detector batteries, test the carbon monoxide alarms. She'd been gone 3 years now, but I kept the routine. I was standing on my stepladder in the upstairs hallway, twisting the smoke detector cover, when I noticed something wrong. The weight was off. Too heavy for just a 9-volt battery. I pulled the whole unit down. A tiny black cylinder, no bigger than my thumbnail, nestled beside the battery compartment. A lens pointed through a small hole drilled into the plastic housing. Professional work. I stood on that ladder for a full minute, not breathing. Someone had been watching me in my own home, the home where we'd raised our daughter, Sarah. I climbed down and sat at the kitchen table, the smoke detector in front of me, like evidence. Who had access? My neighbor Dave had a key, but he was 73 and could barely operate his TV remote. The pest control guy had come by in September, but I'd been with him the whole time. Then there was my son-in-law, Mark. Mark had been coming by every Sunday for the past 5 months, ever since he and Sarah moved back from Los Angeles. He said he wanted to help out, said he worried about me living alone. Mark had been in every room of this house multiple times, alone. I sat back and rubbed my eyes. No, that was ridiculous. Mark was family. But another part of my brain was clicking through details. Mark asking about my medications. Mark wanting to know my doctor's name. Mark asking what would happen to the house when I was gone. I'd told him not to worry. He smiled, but something had crossed his face. Calculation. The detective in me knew something didn't add up. I made a decision. I wouldn't confront anyone. I wouldn't rip out the camera. I would investigate, gather evidence, find the truth. I put the smoke detector back, camera and all. Let them watch. The next morning, I drove to the public library. I couldn't use my home computer. If someone had cameras in my house, they might have access to my devices too. At the library, I logged into my bank account for the first time in months. The balance was wrong. I should have had over $420,000. I was looking at $298,000. Nearly $122,000 had vanished over 6 months. Wire transferred to Morrison Holdings, LLC. Wire transferred to Morrison Holdings, LLC. The same company over and over. Amounts between $8,000 and $25,000. Small enough to not trigger fraud alerts. Large enough to add up fast. I'd never heard of Morrison Holdings, a ghost company. Someone had been stealing from me, someone with access to my banking information. I thought about the camera in my office, pointed at the drawer where I kept my password list. That afternoon, I called an old colleague. Robert Trujillo had been county sheriff for 12 years. We met at a diner. I told him what I'd found. The cameras, the GPS tracker I'd discovered weeks earlier, the unauthorized transfers. Robert listened. James, I believe you, but without concrete evidence, we need to be careful. If Mark has access to your home, the cameras get complicated legally. He gave me the name of a private investigator in Tucson, Elena Vasquez, who specialized in elder financial abuse cases. Document everything. And James, be careful. These cases usually escalate. I met Elena the next day. She was sharp-eyed, direct. She'd been a forensic investigator for 12 years. I told her everything. She nodded. This matches a pattern I've seen. In-laws who feel entitled to a parent's assets. They start with surveillance to learn routines. Then they begin financial exploitation. The final step is usually establishing legal control. Legal control. Power of attorney, guardianship, having you declared mentally incompetent. Once they have that, they can sell your property, drain your accounts, even decide where you live. My blood went cold. Mark had asked about my doctor 3 weeks ago, asked if I was sleeping okay, asked if I felt confused, forgetful. I'd brushed it off as normal concern. Now I saw it for what it was: groundwork. How do I stop it? First, we gather evidence. I can trace those wire transfers. Second, we document the cameras. She paused. Confronting him could be dangerous. I'm not going anywhere. This is my home. She nodded. Then we need to move fast. Can you play a role? Act confused, forgetful, like Mark wants you to be? I smiled. I spent 23 years interrogating criminals. I can play whatever role you need. Over the next 2 weeks, Elena dug into the finances while I played the part of an oblivious old man. I shuffled when I walked. I repeated myself. I asked Mark the same questions twice in a row when he came by. He ate it up. I could see the satisfaction in his eyes. The second Sunday, he brought up the doctor again. There's a specialist in Tucson I'd like you to see, James. What kind of doctor? A cognitive specialist. Nothing to be scared of. I smiled. Whatever you think is best, Mark. His eyes lit up, just for a second. That night, Elena called. Morrison Holdings LLC was registered 7 months ago. The directors are Mark Morrison and Sarah Morrison, your daughter and son-in-law. I'd expected it, but hearing it confirmed still felt like a punch. There's more. The money went from your account to Morrison Holdings, then offshore, then back to a numbered company here. That company recently made an offer on your property. The signature on the seller's line looks a lot like yours. The next morning, I met with Robert and 2 investigators from the Attorney General's office. I brought everything: bank statements, photographs of the cameras, the forged documents. By noon, they had enough for arrest warrants. We'd like to move tomorrow morning, the lead investigator said. Your son-in-law scheduled a cognitive assessment for you on Thursday. If he gets a doctor to sign off before we arrest him, this gets messy. Can I be there? I asked. Robert hesitated. James, you don't want to see that. Yes, I said. I do. At 7:45 the next morning, I watched the vehicles come up the road. At Mark and Sarah's house, I stayed back by the cruiser. When they brought Mark out in handcuffs, he saw me. James, you don't understand. I was trying to help you. I didn't say anything. His face changed. The concerned son-in-law vanished. You stupid old man. That house should have been mine. You're sitting on over $1 million doing nothing. I deserved that money. No, I said quietly. You didn't. They put him in the cruiser. Sarah came out next, crying. Daddy, please. I didn't know. I looked at my daughter. Her name was on the LLC. Her signature was on the forged documents. She'd made her choice. The investigation took 4 months. Mark received 38 months in federal prison. Sarah got 14 months and was required to pay full restitution. 6 months later, I received a letter from Mark. James, I'm sorry. I know that doesn't mean anything now. I sat at my kitchen table for a long time. Then I wrote one line. The door isn't locked forever, but you have to earn it back. I never heard from him again. My granddaughter Sophia came to visit last month. She's 19 now. She asked about her father. I told her the truth, that Mark had made bad choices and that none of it was her fault. Grandpa, what's going to happen to all this? I told her I'd changed my will. The house would go to her, held in trust until she was 25. She hugged me hard. I won't let you down. I know you won't, because she had her grandmother's eyes. Some wounds don't heal, but I'm still here, still in the home I built with Margaret. The hardest truth I learned is sometimes protecting your family means protecting yourself from your family. Love is not an excuse for exploitation. Blood is not a license to steal. And age doesn't make us helpless unless we let it.